Welcome to the Art Colony, podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. For this first season of the podcast, while creating my episodes, I have generally been concentrating on the word continuous, as in Provincetown is the oldest continuous art colony in the US. I wanted to shine a light on themes or trends that have helped define Provincetown as an important art center over the last few decades and the whole last century. However, this continuity is not given nor guaranteed. Over the history of this art colony, many have predicted its end. Throughout the last century, there have been many books and articles bemoaning that the glory days of the art colony were behind us. I recently saw an article from 1951 saying that Provincetown doesn't attract the right kind of artists anymore. And another one from an artist in 1979 saying, Provincetown is just not the same anymore. I miss it. Nevertheless, despite the naysayers, the art colony has continued to thrive. I think that through the first season of this podcast, the guests who came to talk with us helped us understand why art stays anchored in Provincetown, and that is through the hard work of multiple individuals in art schools, art institutions, and art galleries. And of course, it's also because of the hundreds of artists who choose to call this place their home. And I think that for the Provincetown Art Colony to continue thriving, it needs to not stay the same. It needs to adapt, evolve, and grow. And a few years ago, we had a major growth spurt when a new art center opened its doors, the Provincetown Commons. The Commons has already become a pillar of the art community here and serves as a promise that this continuity will be safe for decades to come. And to talk with me today about the Commons, I have Executive Director Lesley Marchessault.
Hi.
Hi, Lesley. Before I start, do you know what your name means in French?
I have been told that my name used to be Marchessault de Laramie because my family hailed from a place called Laramie in France, and my dad told me that Marchessault means something to do with kings.
Oh, really? Well, the word marche means walk, and so means leap, jump.
Oh.
So I was thinking Marchessault would mean, one of your ancestors walked with a leap and a step.
I love that.
Well, anyways, tell us, who is Lesley Marchessault?
Oh, wow. Well, I moved to Provincetown about 14 years ago. I am a lover of art and art history, and for a long time, I thought that I wanted to work in a museum. Ever since my 7th grade humanities class, my teacher put a slide up of Jan van Eyck's Arnolfini marriage portrait, and that was it. I wanted to learn everything I could about art history, and I went to school. Got my bachelor's, and I got my master's in art history, and then I worked at a couple of small galleries and eventually found my way to Provincetown and to the Provincetown Art Association and Museum, where I learned so much and worked in all these different departments: education, administration, and development and membership. And what I found through that and through my earlier studies was that working with artists really was most my calling. And I love to work alongside people, see their reactions really when they show their work on the walls, and have people come in and see it, and the reaction that they get from the community is really just what makes my heart swell. So about a year and a half ago, I took the leap and went and moved from PAM over to the Commons, and have just subsequently been able to work with artists every day, which has been great. But as far as who I am, I am a baker, I am a knitter, I am a recent basket weaver. I have learned that I like to try new things, especially ways to be creative with my hands. I don't have any pets, but I live in Wellfleet in this really great little woodsy neighborhood, and I love it so much.
Well, that's wonderful. How long have you been on the Cape?
I've been here for 14 years. I moved to Provincetown in 2011, and I met so many people that first summer that I moved that I came here that said, I first came to Provincetown for one summer and I just never left. And I thought, oh, well, that's not going to be me. And then here we are.
Here we
14 years later.
Yeah. So you're now the executive director of the Commons.
Yes.
So what is that? What is the Commons?
The Commons is a nonprofit center that focuses really on helping the sustainability of the creative economy in Provincetown. So we have multiple areas that we serve. We have a co-working space that is open 365 days a year. People can come in and do the work that they need to do in our co-working space. We have meeting room space so that people can rent those throughout the year. And we have artist studios and exhibition space. So the artist studios we have about 10 in our building and then 8 again off-site. We have exhibition space and we offer 2-week-long exhibitions to artists throughout the year. What's great about those studios is that they're shared spaces. So people really start to learn about sharing space with others. But then there's also this beautiful synergy and collaboration that happens among the artists who share these spaces together. So the Commons is really kind of this nexus of collaboration and, really works to sustain that continuity that you were talking about, because artists are talking to others, they are coming up with new ideas, they are working together, and it's really beautiful. We see it every day.
So when was the Common founded? It's very recent.
It's very recent. Yeah, it opened its doors in January of 2019. Prior to that, a small group of people won the RFP in 2017 because this building that it's in was formerly a school and then it was a community center. So the town solicited and accepted our proposal, which was really created with the feedback from the community. So a small group of people asked people in the community, what would you like to see this building become? And the answer was the town wanted co-working space, meeting room space, and space for artists. So that's what they created. And the old classrooms are the artist studios. And then only a couple of renovations within the building itself, like moving a couple of walls. We have a 99-year lease from the town, and we were responsible for all of the renovations and everything, but we have the space inside, and then we have the outdoor gardens and sculpture garden as well. So we're just expanding continuously.
And you've also expanded to the building in which we are recording right now, because on the first floor, we have the 8 artists you talked about earlier.
Yes, we have 8 studios on Shankpainter Road right now. Yep.
So these artists, how do they get into the Commons? How do you get to have your space there?
There's an application. Really, between artist studios and exhibitions, we prioritize artists who live between Provincetown and Orleans. And for exhibitions, we prioritize artists who do not have gallery representation. We're really trying hard to encourage people who are emerging in some way to embrace having a space or having an exhibition. And for so many people, it's their first time showing their work, or maybe their first artist studio outside of their home. So those artist studios are given in 3-year increments. And the goal is at the end of 3 years, they will have a body of work, or they will be able to secure a studio elsewhere. Our studios in-house are pretty subsidized. So the idea is to just this is a stepping stone, and we're trying to get you on your feet to be able to, leave the nest.
So the artists, do they pay for that space?
They do. Yep.
Okay. And I've seen some artists stay at the Commons for 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. How does that get determined?
It's really determined by the artist and the needs that they have. Most people, and since I've been there, people are opting for the 3-year term. I think that it might have been, and I can't really speak to this because I wasn't there, but I think in the beginning, maybe there were people who needed it for a shorter term. But since I've been there now for a little over a year, everybody's doing the full 3-year term.
And tell us about these artists.
Oh, well, they are all over the map, really. I mean, we have painters, we have someone who makes lampshades out of paper and collage materials. We have a person who makes jewelry. We have a photographer. They are really incredible. And I mean, there's 4 artists in a studio right now where they are constantly exchanging ideas and working together. And you can see the growth in their work and the directions that they went that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Now, if someone was to apply to get a space there, what would be your advice for them?
Well, my advice is, so for artist studios specifically, I think just really honesty on your application because it's a 3-year term. What ends up happening is that a lot of times we might have a chunk, like 2 to 3 spaces that open up. I would say that if somebody is looking for an artist studio, what they should do is just put in an application because we keep them. So we're not, like right now we have a couple that are opening in October, but because we had a couple of applications that we weren't able to fulfill last time, we're going back to those people first. So it doesn't matter if you're thinking that you're going to look for a space in 10 months or 12 months. You should just put in an application now and then we can get to you when there's a space.
And you said you look mostly for emerging artists or artists who have not been professionally active before?
Specifically with our exhibitions, that's really those are our exhibition parameters. I think that if someone is in a studio, it might not preclude them from, in a gallery.
And yeah, about that exhibit space, because since I own a gallery in town, I get people coming to my gallery on a regular basis saying they want to show their work, and I can't show everyone. And so often I say, well, have you tried the Commons? Because you have exhibit space there.
Yes.
How does that work?
So the exhibition space is also application-based, and the applications are due annually on October 1st. You can put in an application anytime throughout the year. It's the same kind of process. And then we have a committee that meets in November or December who determines the exhibitions for the following year. So it's only ever done a year in advance. And our parameters really are, we want people who live between Provincetown and Orleans. That's our definition of the Outer Cape. I know everybody's definition is different. But then we also want emerging artists, people who do not have gallery representation. So a lot of times on those applications, somebody might put all of the shows that they've been in. And for us, it really works in the opposite way because we want you to have less exposure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we tend to go for people who are, right, like I said, more emerging, no gallery representation. We're not trying to compete with any galleries that are, especially ones that are in town. We don't want to show artists who are having shows other places. And last year, we had about 40 spots to fill in our exhibition calendar, and we ended up getting about 80 applications. And some of them are from people who might live, in New York or Philadelphia or something like that year round, but they know about us and they want to try. But right now we're able to fill those spots with local people.
There's a lot of people who come to Provincetown seasonally or they come for short term and they know we have a very dynamic and active art market here, so they want to be part of it. But you're saying you give priority to people who are residents on the Cape.
We give priority to people who are residents on the Cape, and then the second tier is people who may spend the summer here or, have much more, have some sort of footing on the Outer Cape.
And tell us about the exhibit space, because it's quite considerable.
It is, yes. Well, like I said, it's an old school. So the outline of it is that you come in the front door and up a short flight of stairs, and there's a long hallway. And then to the left of that, there's a big room that we call our community room. So the exhibition spaces usually are one person gets one side or the other of the hallway, and then one or more people get the community room. So on your application, you can ask for a specific side of the hallway. I know some people are superstitious about that.
Oh, really?
But then, so you can ask for where you want and then the time of year that you want. And we try to do our best to accommodate that.
And do you have exhibits year-round?
We do have exhibitions year-round. Generally, we have the open call Outer Cape exhibition, which is a group exhibition. So basically, if you live on the Outer Cape and you want to show your work, then you can just drop it off. We have that one day in November, and then it goes through February. And then we have a partnership with the school where we show Provincetown school work there in the early winter, spring months. And then this year we did a really great collaboration with the Center for Coastal Studies where they brought in a bunch of marine debris and they store it in these glass fish tanks. And just as a display, it was beautiful. There was all these different lobster trap, the pieces of plastic that were different colors. And then all of these styrofoam cups that had been kind of eroding and looked like shells, but then when you got closer to them, you saw that they were styrofoam. So they brought in all of this marine debris, and then we just opened the doors and invited people to come in and create something with it. And the stuff that people made was outstanding. Somebody made this really big praying mantis, and somebody made a person sitting on a rock. And when you get closer to it, you see that it's just all made out of garbage, but it's just they were really creative.
That's funny because one of the artists who shows in my gallery, Tor Jensen,
Mhm.
who was a resident at the Commons for a while, last year his show in my gallery, he makes pottery, sometimes jewelry. Anyways, it was pottery, but he filled it with this marine debris and then sealed it in so the marine debris would be sequestered for eternity, was put away.
Wow.
And these were sold as art pieces and people bought them.
Mhm.
So he was telling them, you're basically buying garbage, but it was his way to use that marine debris and just incorporate it in his pottery.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and when you have the shows at the Commons, you have some big parties too. It's fun. There's a lot of people going there.
We do, yeah, there's a lot of people. And there's big openings. We try to start them closer to 4 or 5 in the summer because we know that people go to the gallery stroll on Commercial Street. So it's kind of nice. You can come up to Bradford early and then go down to Commercial for your galleries and then your dinner.
Yeah, I've always found that when I go to the Commons for one of your openings, it's a great networking opportunity because there you meet a lot of other artists and other gallery owners, and it's a great meeting place.
It's very true. And I feel like that resonates with just being at the Commons. I feel like I meet people with all different backgrounds and all different careers that they've had. It's incredible, the people that you meet. And it so often happens that someone will come in with this completely random offer and they say, "Oh, do you need a canary who plays the saxophone?" And I'm like, why would I ever need that? And then literally an hour later, someone comes in and they're like, "Do you have a canary that plays the saxophone?" So it's really, I've seen it time and time again that the ask is there and then the answer presents itself. It's really magical.
And I think your most fantastic community event every year in August is the fashion show with Jimmy Lee, or Mama Lee as we call him. Tell us more about that. That's such a fantastic event.
It is a really fantastic event. That is the brainchild of Jimmy Lee and Dave LaFrance, and it is really fun to be involved in that. It's a big labor of love. Historically, it's been that Jimmy Lee has created all the looks, and we invite multiple townspeople to be the models. And I think that so many of those people just light up when they might feel nervous or ambivalent about it, but once they're on that runway, they own it 100%. And then everyone who is in the crowd just, gives them all the love and adoration. But this year we invited about 20 artists and designers to create different looks. So we're going to have Jimmy Lee do the majority of the looks, but then there's a lot of different people who are creating looks alongside him. And the theme is beach forest, flora and fauna. So people are really running with that theme and making a lot of really interesting things, including me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making
you're not modeling.
I'm
you're
making a
wow.
look. Yeah. I'm making one with my neighbor, Elsbeth Hay. We've been doing the basket weaving together, and we're going to attempt to make a skirt out of willow.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see how it goes.
Well, I can't wait to see it because I have my tickets already.
Good. Well, you have to get your tickets early because it gets real full.
It gets real full, and even if it is full, we end up having chairs across the street and chairs all over Bradford Street trying to look in. It's a big event.
It's a big event, and it's funny that you say that because we are moving it this year.
Oh, you
because
are?
we have outgrown the front area. I did apply for a parade permit to see if I could close Bradford Street, but alas, I could not. So we're going to move it over to the side, which will elongate the runway and allow us to fit a lot more people in the same space. Having people across the street it was a great option that it was there, but now we're going to be able to contain everybody, and just it'll be nice to have everyone in the same spot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't wait to see it. And by the time this podcast airs, it will have passed. So I hope my listeners have been there too. But yeah, if ever you have not been in the past, I strongly recommend you get on the Commons mailing list, on their email list, to get your tickets for the fashion show. It's such an uplifting event. It's so much fun.
I know. When I tell people about it, I say, it really is just a big towny love fest.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the Saturday after Carnival. People are exhausted, but they are so happy to be together and to be celebrating. And it's just, the energy is like nothing I've ever felt before.
Exactly. Yeah. So you mentioned co-working spaces.
Yes.
One thing I noticed regarding that is the population of Provincetown changed dramatically with the pandemic because a lot of people moved here knowing that they could work from home. And a lot of people ended up working at the Commons because you had the space there. So tell us about the co-working spaces.
Well, that's one of the things that always astounds me that in 2017, before COVID, that was one of the things that was at the top of the list was having co-working spaces. And then obviously COVID just made it so that people wanted to have remote spaces even more. But I think that that was an impetus for putting the co-working spaces and the meeting room spaces in the Commons was to encourage people to think of Provincetown as more of a year-round place for them to be. And if their job had the ability to be remote, then why couldn't they be here? Now they have the space that they need. So we do have several people who work out of the Commons year-round every day. There are maybe a core of about 5 or 10 of us who are, there in every February day and just tapping away at our keyboards. But in the summertime, we've really kind of hit our stride this year. There's a lot of people using the space. We've added some outdoor tables. We've added space inside the building. Each one of the spaces was designed to be as flexible as possible. So in the community room, for example, if there's not an event going on in there, then we set up the tables so that people can sit and work and take a call if they need to. So each one of the spaces is really allows for people to come in and work.
And it's high tech. You have those isolation booths as well. And so people can take these calls without bothering all the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are called phone booths.
Well, that's great because it has allowed a lot of people to move here, stay here, and still be able to work in New York or DC or Philly or wherever. So it's brought a lot of younger people to town.
Yeah, definitely. I know we continuously have people who, I mean, still, obviously, I've only been there for a little over a year, but every day people come in and they say, "What a great resource this is." So yeah, it's definitely, and you have people who are on vacation and they come in really quickly and are sweaty and say, "Oh, I didn't think I was going to have to work, but my boss said I have to get this done today." So you just kind of calm them down and say, "It's okay. We can find you a spot." And I think it's just really nice to be able to answer that question for people a lot is, I need X. Can you provide this?
Mm-hmm. And are the working spaces something you have to apply for?
No, for the co-working day pass is $30 and you can purchase it online before you come in, or it's really easy to do it just from there once you come in and you sit down and find a space. And then we also have a monthly membership that's $125, and then that gives you access as many times as you want throughout the month. And then we have different other levels that are like for a dedicated desk or the artist studios, like those are all membership levels.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that's really interesting about the Commons is that you administer various grants or scholarship programs.
Yes, we started a fund in memory and honor of Urvashi Vad in 2022, and then we just administered the first round of grants for that this past January, and those are really for activist led projects, community driven projects, and it was basically the idea is that a group of people in the community could come together to address a shared need and try to determine ways to solve that need. And we encourage creative projects, we encourage activist type projects, and we were able to fund 12 projects this year for a total of 80,000,
Oh,
which
wow.
was really great.
Can you tell us about the person whose name is on the grant?
Oh yes, Urvashi.
Urvashi, okay.
Yes, she was a really big name in LGBTQ activism in the 1980s. She helped found the Commons. She was on the founding board. She was one of the first members of the Commons. and was really active in building this organization. And then when she got sick, some of the other founding members decided that they wanted to honor her in this way.
And these are all local projects?
These are all local projects. We have that same parameter between Provincetown and Orleans. So we actually were able to fund something in Orleans this year. And I think the others were mostly in Provincetown. I don't think we had anything in Truro or Wellfleet.
Oh, that's a lot of money being distributed to local organizations.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of money for local organizations. It's been really, really joyful to be able to give out that money and know that it's going back into local hands to create something that's really wonderful for local people. We did have one in Wellfleet. Sorry, I forgot.
Can you tell us about some of the projects that did get funded?
Sure, yeah. The one in Orleans was the Lower Cape Pride. They had not ever had a Pride celebration in Orleans before, so that one. We also funded the one in Wellfleet it's actually called the Commons Keepers, but it was a group of women teaching young women about living and sustaining nature. So they talked about foraging and growing food and prescribed fires and things like that. And they did this week out in the woods together. We also funded the Juneteenth celebration in Provincetown, and we funded 9 others as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, these are all very worthy causes that need to be supported.
Yes, definitely.
And then the other grant you have, well, I have to admit that I was involved.
You were a big part of that.
There was an artist called Benjamin Weindorf Grosgall. He showed in my gallery. He was a very good friend of mine. And he had a very quirky artistic sense. His art was very unique, very, I wouldn't say cartoonish, but it had these fun little characters in it. And I noticed his talent during the pandemic, and I invited him to show in my gallery. And he had 2 shows, and both shows completely sold out. People really wanted to have some of Benji's art because we called him Benji. Mm-hmm. And then Benji had a brain cancer and passed away in the summer of 2024. And I was planned to have his last show in my gallery in August 2024. And the last time I communicated with Benji, which was a few days before he passed away, I was asking, are we still going to have a show? Because it looked like things were coming to an end. He said, yes, we're still going to have a show whether I'm there or not. And I want you to donate all the proceeds to charity. So I thought about that for a long time because I was thinking, well, what charity? Who deserves this money? And I was thinking it would be sort of sad to just have that money go into some anonymous fund somewhere and it's forgotten. So I said, it might be better to keep the money locally and have something that commemorates Benji. And so my first instinct was to talk to you, talk to Lesley at the Commons. And with that, you created the Benji Fund. Mm-hmm. So tell us about the Benji Fund.
Well, thank you. The Benji Fund is a fund that we started in memory of Benji, and it really helps us to provide artists with subsidies for studio rents or supplies, or if there's an application fee that they need help with, really anything that an artist comes to us and says, listen, I really need some monetary help for this thing to sustain my art practice. And we decided together, Gaston, you and I, that would be an appropriate and really wonderful way to honor Benji and his memory. And we talked to his family, and his family decided that they appreciated and approved of it as well. So then we started it, and people really supported it. I think that first, it's been a year now since we've had it, and we got $40,000 right away. So we've just been able to help people in ways that we weren't able to before, and it's all because of him.
That's great. I mean, he was an extremely charismatic character. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of friends. People loved him. He was quirky and fun. And so when Benji did something, people wanted to be part of it. So that's what happened with the fund. When we announced that there was going to be a fund, people wanted to be part of it. And I had his last show in my gallery. It sold out, of course, in one night. So it shows that the community was really interested in having this take off.
Yes, definitely.
And have you been able to provide grants already from this fund?
Well, for this one, we don't really have an application process. Mm-hmm. It's more like someone comes to us and we have it on our website. But we have people that are getting their rent subsidized because of this. And we have people that we've bought supplies for because of this. And we've had, all of the things that I mentioned.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Yeah.
So people do know about it. And when, if there's sometimes people say, well, I just, I would love to get this studio, but, I can't afford, it's $350 a month. So I can't afford that. And we say, okay, what can you afford? And let's talk about it. And then we will subsidize it.
That's great. And we're very appreciative of Benji's family, if you're listening, for letting us commemorate his presence in Provincetown in that way.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. We also planted a tree in his memory in the front yard at the Commons this year. We still, I have to get a plaque for it, but it'll be there maybe by the time this podcast airs.
And Benji was a resident at the Commons.
Yep.
So it wasn't just something random. He was a resident there.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he was putting together his shows for my gallery, I would go to his studio in the basement and help him select pieces and talk about how to, edit them or change them or whatever. So, yeah.
And he had a show there too last year.
He did. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yep.
We will always miss Benji, but we're happy that this commemorates him here in town.
Yes.
And at the Commons, you also have meeting spaces available.
Yes, we have a very big, it's the community room, and we have, that has a big capacity. We have a group that comes in every year that does a big team building exercise. There's this group from Boston, and you can hear them. There's a lot of serious things going on in there, but then every once in a while, there's lots of woohoos and, like people cheering each other on. And I think they do things like the egg, like the egg on a spoon races and stuff like that. So they're very cute. But yes, we do. We have a lot of meeting room spaces, and the community room is really where we offer our most front-facing programs. So we are offering workshops now as well, and then we also offer space to other nonprofits to offer workshops, or people in the community who have something that they want to teach people or to inform people about. That's the space that they do it in.
Yeah, it's a big room. There's a lot you can do in there. And I've been there for multiple meetings of the Provincetown Business Guild or community information meetings. It's great for that. So we were talking all this season about continuity. And so in your case, the Commons, you've been around for 6 years?
The Commons? Yeah.
I said in my introduction that the Commons is almost like a promise that this continuity will bring us in the future. So what do you have coming up in the future? Any big plans for the Commons? Any things that we don't know about that you might change?
Well, I do have some plans for the future. By the way, I loved that. I thought that was such a beautifully written sentence.
Oh, thank you.
It was really, really nice. We're constantly collaborating with other organizations. We have 2 collaborations on the horizon that I'm not authorized to talk about yet, but it's going to be very exciting. But we also offer our creative development series every year. That is a series mostly of about 6 classes for 6 weeks in the winter. That is really teaching artists about the business side of being an artist. So last year we did one that taught people about making a brand for themselves or marketing. We did one on Canva. We also did a workshop this year. We're actually in the middle of offering a workshop this year, a workshop series called From the Earth. And that is using going out and foraging materials to create art materials. So we just had Cheryl Jaffe in, and she did a class where the participants made paper, and we used Phragmites, so things that are invasive, and she taught them how to break it all down and to make paper out of it. And then in a couple of weeks, we're offering one with 2 local artists who use foraged materials to create ink. So they make ink out of mushrooms and nuts and flowers and all these different kinds of plant materials. We're having a basket weaving workshop in September.
Are you teaching it?
I'm not going to teach it. I've taught a few people just on my own, and it's tough. It's tough to. There's a lot of things to remember. But then I think I will end the series maybe in November with just a foraging class that teaches you responsible practices for foraging and things like that. So people can be on the lookout for that. That one is very exciting. And we got a grant for that from the Arts Foundation of Cape Cod. I feel good about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, the Commons has been an amazing addition to our community. Ever since you've been open, there's been I feel a real effervescence in the art sector. A lot of new artists, a lot of new exhibits, a lot of events happening. I think that's fantastic. And if people want to find out more about the Commons, where should they go?
You can always go to our website, commonsptown.org. That has all of our upcoming events and exhibitions and workshops. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is P-Town Commons.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gaston. I appreciate it.
And thank you all for joining us.